Good morning, Year 4. I hope you had a fantastic half term. Welcome to today's English lesson. So, as you know, our next English unit is going to be all about persuasive writing. And in today's lesson, you're going to analyse a persuasive text about the rainforest. And by the end of this lesson, you'll be able to explain the difference between a fiction and a non-fiction text. You will be able to identify some key aspects of a persuasive text. You will be able to explain whether you find a text persuasive and why. And finally, you will be able to analyse a persuasive text about the rainforest, considering the message of the book and how the book persuades the reader, you, to look after the rainforest. To start with, I do have a retrieval question for you. So thinking about our second to last lesson just before half term, can you remember and name 3 reasons why people might be for deforestation, why they might think it's a good thing, and 3 reasons why people may be against deforestation? Why might people say no to deforestation? I would like you to write your answers on a piece of paper and submit these with your home learning for me to have a look at, please. So if you pause the video now, 3 reasons why people might be for deforestation, 3 reasons why they might be against it. Okay, so pause the video here and have a go at that now, please. Okay, how did you get on? Did you find and remember some reasons why people might be for deforestation? Let's have a look at 3 reasons that I've chosen. So I've said that making use of the rainforest provides the human race with fuel, wood, paper, land for farming, space for mining, and areas for cattle ranching, so making sure that we can have those farms for animals to be looked after. So that is a reason why some people might be for deforestation. Another reason is that where trees have been cut down, new ones can be replanted. And finally, some people believe that with the climate change and the extreme weather, this could destroy the rainforest eventually anyway. So why don't we make use of all the resources now before it's too late? However, some people are completely against deforestation, and I wonder if you got some of the same answers as me. So I said that one reason why people may be against deforestation is that it destroys the habitats of lots of many animals. Many of them are becoming extinct as they don't have anywhere else to live. They're getting very vulnerable to the fact that they are losing their homes. Another reason is that as humans, we get a lot of resources from the rainforest. We know from reading the book The Explorer, there are resources such as bananas, coffee, rice, potatoes, nuts. Without the forest, there will not be any of these resources available. And finally, not only do we get lots of resources from the rainforest, but the animals do too. So by cutting down these trees, we're destroying both their habitat, their food, and our food too. Okay, so we are going to be focusing on fiction and non-fiction for part of the lesson today. Now, we are going to be starting to look at a new book to help us with our persuasive writing unit. And I want to ask you whether the book that we're looking at is a fictional book or a non-fiction book. But we need to understand the difference between those two. So we're going to have a quick recap now. So, if a book is a fiction book, it means that it might be a made-up story created from our imagination. And they're not real, and sometimes they even include animals who talk. So that tells us that actually this book's a fiction book because it's not real, it has talking animals. That's not real. And some features to look out for is that in a fiction book, they are usually written in chapters. So like our book, The Explorer, it's written in chapters. It tells a story, like The Explorer too. It has characters and a setting. It has illustrations, those pictures that are drawn by other people. It might have a problem and a solution, like in The Explorer, the problem is that they're lost in the Amazon rainforest. We are working our way through the solution, and they are usually written in chronological order. And some examples of fiction books are fairy tales and nursery rhymes, picture storybooks, chapter books, novels, and those are some of the examples of the kind of fiction books that you might find. Now, we know fiction books are not real, so that means non-fiction books are real. They are based on factual information, so they give the reader more information and help us learn about different things. And in a non-fiction book, they usually contain real facts. They give us information. They often have a contents page or a glossary. They have lots of keywords at the back where they explain what they mean. They might have an index, headings or subheadings, and also diagrams with labels. Can you think of any examples of what a non-fiction book might be? We've already said that fiction books are like fairy tales and made-up stories or novels. What examples of non-fiction books can you think about? Maybe there's a type of book that we often get out in our English lessons in the classroom. Can you pause the video and have a think? Okay, did you find any? So, a dictionary. The dictionary is what we use a lot in our English lessons, or a thesaurus. These are non-fiction books. They give factual information about the definitions of words. History books, finding out about maybe the Anglo-Saxons. That's a non-fiction book too. Animal nature books, general knowledge and trivia. So if you want to find out about the world or something about something else that is in front of our very eyes, we can have a general knowledge book to help us. Science books, travel books, art books, and biographies and autobiographies, okay? Now don't worry if you haven't heard of any of these books before. The thing that you need to remember is that fictional books are not real. They are based on stories, they are based on characters. Non-fiction books are real, they are based on facts. Now, today, we are going to be starting to read this book here. This book is called The Great Kapok Tree. Now, before we read it, I want you to look at the front cover and think, what do you think this book might be about? And what can you see on the front cover that makes you think this? Where do you think this book is set? What location? And do you think this is going to be a fiction or a non-fiction text? Can you just pause the video where you are and have a think, please? Okay, so you might have said that you can see lots of different species of animals. You might have even recognised them from our geography lessons. So you might have spotted the macaw birds over here, some monkeys. This is called a boa snake. This is a toucan. What else do we have down here? We have some porcupines, a frog, butterflies, but we also have a man here. Now, on the front cover, this man is the only human. What do you think this man might be there to do? What is he looking at? He's looking at a tree. Now this tree is called the Great Kapok Tree. It's a species of tree found in a rainforest, particularly the Amazon rainforest. Now that is where the book was set. You can see there's lots of trees, there's lots of leaves and different plants and also flowers too here. Now, do you think this is going to be a fiction or a non-fiction text? Remembering fiction, what does that mean again? Fiction means it's not real, it's not a real story. But non-fiction means that there are some facts. Some of you might think it's going to be a fictional story. Some of you might think it might be a non-fiction story. This is an interesting story and we will learn more about whether it's a fictional or non-fiction text in a moment. But I just want to show you the back of the story. I want you to read the blurb. So this short paragraph here, did it match what you thought the book was going to be about from looking at the front cover? Does reading the blurb make you want to find a bit more out about this book? Do you think you will enjoy this book? And do you have any questions about the book? So again, pause the video and have a bit of a think about those questions, please. Read the blurb, have a go. Does it give you a bit more information about what the book might be about? Did it match your ideas? Pause the video and have a think. Okay, so we can see that it's all set in the Amazon rainforest and a man is chopping down a great kapok tree. Now, that was what we predicted from the front cover. Well, we predicted that he was looking at a great kapok tree, but now we know he wants to chop it down. Now it says here, exhausted from his labours, so from his job, he puts down his axe, which is what he was using to chop it down with, and rests. And as he sleeps, the animals who live in the tree plead with him not to destroy their world. I don't know about you, I've got some goosebumps going up my arm there when I read the sentence, plead with him not to destroy their world. That word plead makes me think that they are begging him not to destroy their world. If you think if someone came into your house and started chopping down your things and chopping down your bricks for your house, that is destroying your world. Now, you might have lots of questions about this book. We are going to start reading it, and then I will read it for 5 minutes, and then there will be a part 2 to this book, okay? So, the first page of this book shows you the different continents of the world, particularly in dark green where today's rainforests are located. And you can see the Amazon rainforest is just here, and Manaus, what we've been looking at in our reading sessions from the Explorer, is just there too. Round the outside, you've got lots of different species of animals that you might find in a tropical rainforest. And here we've got the layers of the rainforest that we've already learned about. I want you to think, is this page suggesting that it might be a fictional page or a non-fictional page? I would like you to pause the video here and just have a scan around with your eyes. Have you learned anything new about the different animals? What can you see here that you might not have known before? So pause the video and do that now, please. Okay, so you might have learned lots and lots. Let's keep going then. So just before we read the story, there is a bit of a passage here, and it says, in the Amazon rainforest, it's always hot. And in that heat, everything grows and grows and grows. The top of the trees in the rainforest are called the canopy. The canopy is a sunny place that touches the sky. The animals that live there like lots of light. Colourful parrots fly from tree to tree. Monkeys leap from branch to branch. The bottom of the rainforest is called the understory. The animals that live in the understory like darkness. There, silent snakes curl around hanging vines. Graceful jaguars watch and wait. And in this steamy environment, the great kapok tree shoots up through the forest and emerges above the canopy. This is the story of a community of animals that live in one such tree in the rainforest. So it's given us a brief outline there. It's making me really excited to read the story. Also giving us a bit of information about the rainforest, true factual information. Let's read. 2 men walked into the rainforest. Moments before, the forest had been alive with the sounds of squawking birds and howling monkeys. Now all was quiet as the creatures watched the 2 men and wondered why they came. The larger man stopped and pointed to a great kapok tree. Then he left. If he's here, look how tall the tree is, and look at the different animals here that are already there and have spotted him. What animal is here, do you think? There's some legs here and a tail. I wonder. The smaller man took the axe he carried and struck the trunk of the tree. Whack, whack, whack! The sound of the blows rang through the forest. The wood of the tree was very hard. Chop, chop, chop! The man wiped off the sweat that ran down his face and neck. Whack, chop, whack, chop! Soon the man grew tired. He sat down to rest at the foot of the great kapok tree. Before he knew it, the heat and the hum of the forest had lulled him to sleep. And you can see there, he's getting very tired. Let's see what happens then. A boa constrictor lived in the kapok tree. He slithered down its trunk to where the man was sleeping. He looked at the gash the axe had made in the tree. Then the huge snake slid very close to the man and hissed in his ear. Señor, this tree is a tree of miracles. It is my home, where generations of my ancestors have lived. Do not chop it down. So there he is, the boa snake. Then a bee buzzed in the sleeping man's ear. Señor, my hive is in this kapok tree, and I fly from tree to tree and flower to flower, collecting pollen. In this way I pollinate the trees and flowers throughout the rainforest. You see, all living things depend on one another. And there's the bee there, look. They're all talking to him. Why do you think they might be talking to him? Let's see if there's any other animals then. A troop of monkeys scampered down from the canopy of the kapok tree. They chattered to the sleeping man. Señor, we have seen the ways of man. You chop down one tree, then come back for another and another. The roots of these great trees will wither and die. That means they won't have enough water, so they'd shrink. and there will be nothing left to hold the earth in place. When the heavy rains come, the soil will be washed away, and the forest will become a desert. And you can see all the monkeys there. Do you think the man can hear him? Maybe he can, but let's see in part 2 of the video what happens next.